Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to another recommendations video. So today I am very excited to bring you this recommendation video. I have seen a few people talking about this recently. I think I saw someone on Instagram do a post on it, but I wouldn't be able to find it, so I apologize. But this is something that I have so much love for when an author does this, and that is no third act breakup. So first off though, I guess some people consider this a spoiler. I don't know why it would be, because honestly I feel like it's the lack of a spoiler in some ways, but some people it doesn't work for them and I get it. But I have grown so tired of the predictability of a third act breakup. I really wish there could be other conflicts and different ways for us to work through the third act of a book without it being a breakup. Now, that's not to say that I haven't read some that are very boring because there's no third act breakup, but really what it is it isn't because there's no third act breakup, it's because the author didn't put in a conflict. And you do need to have some kind of conflict in a story. That's what helps build a story, right? If we go all the way back to high school English, right? You want to have, the beginning, middle, some kind of third act conflict, resolution, the climate, all those things that go with it. I just personally think specifically in a romance, there are other ways to have a conflict and then have our characters work through it together, where we don't have to have a separation that maybe lasts for 10 pages or 50 pages and then have them working it out when all they needed to do was like stick around and talk for 5 minutes, or when characters need to have a breather and they need to take a break, but it isn't like I'm breaking up because we need to talk. No, because in general, that's not how relationships go. Like if you have a fight and you're like, I just don't want to look at you for 5 minutes. That doesn't mean you're completely blowing the person off and that you're not going to stay together and it's over and that you guys need to go make up so that you're still together. Like you can have a fight and say, get the fuck away from me, and then still be together when that's happening. And even better, in some of these cases we'll talk about, that's not even what's happening at all. Like there isn't that at all. It's an outside force or something else that gets brought in. So if for some reason you consider that kind of stuff like a spoiler, well then this video isn't for you and I hope you didn't click on it, because I am hoping to give you some recommendations that if you need to read a book where you're like, I need a low stress read, not a boring read, because I tell you, none of these are boring that I'm about to share with you today. They are not, no, they're all full of it. But you can go into them knowing that like, I'm safe with this story. Like, we're going to ride it out and it's going to be good. So I'm so excited to do that. So let's get into it. First up, I was trying to pick a book from this series to share because I knew that there was some with no third act breakups. And then when I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't think any of them have third act breakups. I honestly don't. They have some dark moments, but I don't think they do. So I just grabbed 2 of the books in the series to show you. But the Stay a Spell series by Juliet Cross, I can't think of one that does. I do know that in Don't Hex and Drive, there is kind of like a dark moment between them where our heroine is struggling with if she fully like wants to commit. But I don't really consider a third act breakup because it isn't a full on. But, Evie and Mateo, there's outside conflict for them. Resting Witch Face, there's an outside conflict for them. And all the way through the series up to this point. We'll see if Grim and Barrett also does that. I have a high likelihood it will, because Juliet Cross doesn't like that nonsense either. So Stay a Spell, just yet another reason you should read these. All the audiobooks are out. All the books are just epically amazing. You should check them out and know that you will be safe in her loving hands, that there's no third act breakup. Another one, which this is my poor, abused, lovely copy of this book. Actually, I have 3 copies of this book. This is the one I always put in videos because speed up. We have Carnal Urges by J.T. Geisinger. This book doesn't have a third act breakup. It does have a third act separation, but the separation is due to outside forces, and there's some people that our hero has to kill and some shit that has to go down. But there's no third act breakup due to reasons that I don't want to fully share. But there isn't, and it's probably one of the reasons this is on my favorite books from the year that I read it, because it's Declan and it's Sloane, and they're the best. They're amazing, and they definitely have like a slow kind of like build up to being together. I mean, they're not a slow build up. We won't say that, but like they definitely both are kind of digging their heels in until they're not. Until the hero is like, what am I doing? This woman's meant to be mine. I'm going to make it happen. And y'all know I just die for that. So you're safe in the arms of Daddy Declan, okay? Whenever you're ready, you're safe. Strap yourself in because it's still a crazy ride, but you're safe in the arms of Daddy Declan, okay? Okay? Okay. Then we have a recent favorite of just everybody, okay? Of just everybody. This one was one of a very mature third act. Like, I loved it so much because I think it was so well done and handled so carefully. And just with such a deft hand, and that is Heartless by Elsie Silver. This one does not have a third act breakup. It doesn't even really have a dark moment. It has a moment where our heroine gives our hero time to breathe and think about the possibilities of the future. She's very clear that she's not leaving him. She's just gonna go home for the weekend, back to her apartment in the city, and just let him think about it. They don't even like make it through a whole weekend because she's like, nope, I'm coming back. And I love it. That's why this book is so perfect. Okay, this is my favorite book of 2022. It's perfection, okay? It's perfection. I love it. I love it so much. I'm not even like really telling you what some of these books are about, I guess, in this, because we're just going through them. They're also all books I've talked about ad nauseum because of how much I love them. But, you know, this one's a single dad, cowboy, nanny romance. We know it. We know it, okay? No third act breakup. Beautiful. Then we have a recent one that I read, and this one I was so nervous that it was going to. And this book is just like, this book was so comforting. I had a great time with this one. And why I was so happy this one didn't have a third act breakup, because these two do have kind of a lot of struggle, like feeling like they can be together. And so to me, there was a lot of conflict for that in the beginning half. And so if there had also been a third act breakup, it would have significantly lowered my feelings about this book. But the characters were so mature throughout it, right? Like they were so mature with how they handled their worries and things like that, that when the like drama at the end happens, they were just like, no, we're gonna stick it out, it's gonna be okay. Sorry, I should tell you, it's The Tryst by Lauren Blakely. So this was one I was lucky enough to be sent by Candy Cane PR, and this book is out now. But this one is a ex's dad. Now, I've been saying to people, it's more of a friend's dad is more what it is, because she has dated the guy in this book, but they dated in college for just like a month or two, and they had never slept together. They were just checking it out because their moms are both these rich, fancy ladies, and they had wanted their kids to be together. And so they tried, but it didn't work out. And now it's a few years later, and their moms are like pushing them together again. But our heroine's already had this one night stand with this really hunky, hot man and isn't going to get with this guy. But they end up clicking as friends again. And so now it becomes like a friend's dad's romance. And of course, in the case where it's an ex's dad or a friend's dad, like the friend is going to find out. And so that's where the conflict in this one comes in. But in a lot of scenarios, when it's ex's dad, the father will be like, well, I can't mess up my relationship with my dad, so I have to let this girl go. And he'll just let the girl go. And I get so frustrated. Like, I instantly like lose some respect for the guy when he's willing to just like let her go, you know? But that's not the case in this one. And the way that the hero acts and the way that he speaks with his son and lets his son be upset, but also is like, you're not going to disrespect me or your friend, but you're allowed to be pissed because we did hide this from you. Like, I love it so much. It's so good. Okay, so this was a 5-star read for me. I really liked it, even though it is just kind of like a ho-hum story in a way. The ending like boosted it to 5 stars for me because it subverted what I was expecting to happen. Like, I was expecting the dad to be like, I value my son so much, I have to break up with her. Like, can we even really go anywhere anyway? But like, no, this hero was like, she's it for me. I already know it. My son just needs to get on board, right? and I'm here for it. I love it. All right, now we're going a little bit dark. We're going to the dark place because the book that I have to share is Dark Notes by Pam Godwin. This one does not have a third act breakup in it. This one definitely has something else extremely traumatic and scary as the final conflict in this book. But, I mean, this book is kind of dark and scary the whole way through because our heroine, Ivory, has been through a traumatic life. She doesn't have anyone that's on her side. She is just trying to stick it out through school at this prodigy music school that she's going to. She's barely hanging on. She's being used by the boys that go there, using them for money basically to survive. And then she gets a new teacher, Emmerich, and yeah, he gets some inappropriate eyes at his student, but the relationship that they begin, it rescues Ivory in a way that is very beautiful. This is a book I love to bring up. Like, it touches me so much what she goes through and who she is able to become through his guidance and love and his discipline, because this is a BDSM romance. This one has a very traumatic third act that involves the death of an animal. It is very painful to see. But they definitely don't break up, so there's no third act breakup. And this dark story has a very beautiful HEA in the end. So there we are. Here it is. Here's also my lovely photo from Mystic Box of them playing piano. So there we go. Then we have a best friend's son romance, or business partner's son romance. And this one, I was so happy that this one didn't have a third act breakup, because as I was, kind of talking about how these type of books normally go, well, Praise, the first book in the series, which I know everyone adores, everyone loves that book, rightly so, that one follows more of that tract, because Bo, he is the son, who's also the ex-boyfriend of the heroine in Praise, and he's kind of a fuck-up, he's kind of a fuck boy, and he had cheated on the heroine in that book, so we go into this book already kind of thinking he's a little bit of an ass, and he ends up getting matched on a, FetLife type thing with a female dominant who happens to be his dad's business partner. And her name is Maggie. And they get matched together. And they decide to see where it would go between the two of them. And I mean, I just really, really love that. But the thing is, neither of them is planning for this to go anywhere. And so I was really nervous again when we had the scenario of people finding out that they're together, that Maggie was going to be like, I can't ruin this relationship. I have to back off. But what these two have on their side is that Emerson, he did this already. So he doesn't really have a leg to stand on of a high road, okay? His legs have been taken out from him. And so these two, really the conflict between them is making sure this is what they want long term. Like, is this their long term dream to be together? And if the answer is yes, then they don't have anyone standing in their way. And so I really appreciated that. I think Mercy, I know it's not everyone's favorite. I mean, it's not my favorite in the series, but I still really, really enjoyed this book. And I like how it subverted some of the tropes. I mean, it also has pegging and sex toys and men having to wait. Like, I love a good when he needs to be a good boy. I love it. I loves to see it. I loves to see it in my life. Then I have one that this was very exciting to get to share, and that is actually Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. That's right, this one doesn't have a third act breakup. It doesn't. Maybe it's because it's arranged marriage and they go through most of their drama between each other in the beginning. For sure, they go through their drama in the beginning. And there is a scenario that could be seen as the drama happening, right? But it doesn't. And instead we need these two to hopefully know each other good enough that they're able to get through what that conflict is at the end, and to stop the people that want to get in their way. So I love it. There's a reason why this book is so beloved and why it's at the top of so many lists for so many different things. Like, this book is just a jack of all trades. So it's absolutely, absolutely wonderful. Love it so much. All right, then we also have Rafe by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This one is cool. I need to reread this one sometime soon. It's been quite a while since I have dived into this one. But this one is a Manny romance. It's literally a buff male nanny romance, and our hero, he has been a nanny for a while, and he becomes a nanny for this single mom doctor who has twins, and he's a live-in nanny there. And so those two start up a relationship, and then basically they just have to decide if they're really committed to this and are going to like make a go of it for real, or if they're gonna kind of let other people's judgments get in their way. And we ain't doing any of that. That noise isn't going to get in our way. So it's going to work out just fine for the two of them. And then the last one I want to mention, this one also had the case of people being more mature than I expected them to be. And that is One Look by Lena Hendricks. So this one is also a single dad. He is a college football coach, and he ends up with, she's not really a nanny, but she does help with his daughter. This woman is an out-of-work actress, and she ends up in the town to, of all things, be a hired mourner at the funeral of someone in town. And our hero at first, like, he gets eyes on her and is like, who is this woman pretending to mourn this guy that she doesn't know? And he has some judgy McJudgerson feelings about that. But then they start to get to know each other, and she is actually staying in like the apartment at like a house where he stayed. Like there's an apartment like above the barn or the garage or something of the place that he's staying. And they end up connecting, and she's planning to stay for a little while, and she gets a job in town. And he ends up needing some help because he has 3 young men from his football team that need a place to stay and stay out of trouble for the off season. And so she ends up becoming his assistant to help him wrangle these young men. And then also she's this sweet temptation that's just a few feet away from where he lives, and they begin their relationship. And this one, I will say, it has a bit of the story where they are a long distance couple because of scenarios beyond their control, but they never have a breakup. And so the third act conflict, though, is them being like, I hate being this far away from you. How are we going to make it work? It's that kind of scenario, which is a real life one, not a fun one to think about, but it's definitely a real life scenario. And again, I appreciated how mature they were. And this time apart was really like reinforcing to them that they don't want to be apart. And I love that energy I love that. So there you go. Those are some recommendations without a third act breakup. I would love to hear your recommendations for this. This is something I'm always on the lookout for. So if you're one of my viewers, if you can think of ones that I haven't read yet, I would really appreciate. There probably are some that I have for sure. So thank you so much for watching this, everyone. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I put up new recommendations every week. I also have a playlist with over 250 recommendation videos. I actually have some people who are binging some of them right now, and it's very like, it makes me very self-conscious because there's videos going back 5 years. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye.